Welcome to today's session. My name is Sharon Bradley. I'll be your facilitator today. And our focus today is going to be all about communication. It doesn't make sense for us to do the alignment and we have the attendance teams and we have craft this wonderful message, but how do we communicate it so that we can build the momentum that we need in order to, what we say, turn the tide on all the kids who are not coming to school, get those families re-engaged, and keep the kids coming each day. So I'm Sharon Bradley. I used to be a former principal, special education teacher, dropout prevention coordinator, and director of student services. I published some attendance guides, and I'm so grateful to be a part of the RAWE team. Briefly, just to let you know that RAWE is the premier attendance improvement intervention management platform that is proven, and we have been proven to reduce chronic absenteeism, help districts recoup instructional minutes and funding. Just know this is not something we talk about. This is something that has been proven, and we have districts across the country who've been sharing, not just sharing the good news, but also sharing these millions of dollars that they're getting to actually fund other initiatives. This is our strategic attendance planning playbook series. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we have our YouTube channel where all the recordings are there. If you missed the first one, the second one, the third one, it's all there. So please know that you're not missing anything. We have everything for you in one wonderful place. If you are new to us and you want to know if you're in the right place, at the end of the day, this playbook series, this definitive guide series, is for any educator, anyone who's doing the important work of increasing attendance. Is to move from awareness to how do we put this in action in order to get those measurable results. So the target today, remember, we're going to design our own awareness campaign that shares information, resources, and recognizes so we can get the positive attendance behavior that we seek. This is our fourth one. We got 2 more to go. And I'm telling you right now, next week is going to be a good one because it's all about building capacity and partnerships. So we're going to be able to give, you're learning all these different strategies and building the systems. We're going to tell other people what they can do in order to help you, from the front staff to the counselors, to the parents, to colleges and universities, to community agencies. They always say, I want to help, but I don't know what to do. You'll be able to tell them after next week's session. For many of you who are just joining us for the first time, we use the definitive guide. So here's the QR code. All you have to do is just scan, and you'll get a lot of good information and the templates that we refer to throughout the presentation. So I'll give you a few more seconds to do that, and then let's go. So our session today is sharing your roadmap, and it's all about strategy, right? So I believe that attendance messaging is one of the most powerful district and or school strategies, because I know we have some school people that are on the line. And you may ask, why? What is this? People are asking you why. They're like, why are we hearing so much about attendance? Why are we hearing so much about this? Are we really telling them what is truly the importance? Are we sharing the resources that whether our parents, our students, or our community stakeholders need in order to help us with the work? Yes, we're building a system. Yeah, you guys are building teams. But what are those attendance promoting strategies, again, that other people can utilize in order to help us? And of course, good news is good news. So how do we message? How do we recognize the people who are doing this important work? This is something that, just a sample of something that I created in my previous district. And this was the messaging. It went out through communications. I didn't want it to just go out through Student, Family, and Community Services office, but this was to parents. We always talk about we want them to partner with us. So I started the party to just say, hey, the important school attendance makes a major difference in their life. And I wanted to let them know that I welcome their partnership. You remember I said, and even in the book, what is the importance? So we did some did you know? Just so they can know the information, because people are coming from, the kids are coming from different districts, different countries. So what were those things that they needed to know? And then, of course, what can parents do? You know that we need to work together in order to help increase attendance. So our parents really appreciated this. This was 1 month. Like I said, we did these every month. This was just one of those months. This was towards the beginning of the school year. I want to say this was in August or September. Take this and adjust it however you deem fit. We had, you remember, I fell into the trap, y'all. Once I was English, once I was Spanish, even though I knew that we had almost 90 languages being spoken. So what I did, I teamed up with our translator and our communications department. So we went from 2 languages to 5 languages to the top 10 languages. So please just make sure you know that. So in there, we said, got to make sure we provide resources, provide information, but then also recognition, right? Gone are the days where we just provide perfect attendance. So we're not just going to talk about just perfect attendance, but what about excellent attendance? Remember, I told you if your goal is 95%, how about recognizing the kids who have 95% or higher? You'll have a greater chance of bringing students who are under 95 up to that, and it can help you achieve your goal. But then also, what about the kids who have improved attendance? They were missing 30 days and now they only missing 3, or they only missing 13. So in this link, and I always be careful about how I click, but I'm going to click because I want you guys to see what is on the list. This is just an example, guys. Sometimes incentives can get very pricey. So I wanted to give you guys some different incentives that may not cost a lot of money, or utilizing the resources you may already have. Kids love free tickets to different activities. Right now is prom time, and these prom prices are crazy. We talked about having a basketball or a soccer pickup game before school. That doesn't cost a lot. Maybe a charging station pass, front of the line, privilege pass. Kids love going to the front of the line for lunch. Just a variety of different things. But also, have you asked students what is a meaningful incentive for them? If you ask, they will tell you. So how to make sure that you do that. And then also collaborating with the PTA, education foundations, other organizations for funding, because I know several of you guys want to do gift cards and things like that. You can't use state funding or local funding for gift cards for kids. I hope that you were able to get just some ideas from there. The next one is parent recognition. And yes, parent recognition. I know you're wondering, like, why are we recognizing parents? Because if this is truly a partnership, recognizing parents go a long way. And I wanted to give you guys some suggestions. For instance, the cheapest and best way is preferred seating at student assemblies and events. I was working with this school, this high school, and what they did during football, hey, it's Texas. During football season, they had reserved seats. And they're usually like for season ticket holders and things like that. But they already know there are some season ticket holders that don't necessarily go to the game. So they reserved a row of reserved seating for parents who have of their kids got like good attendance or met the goals or whatever, and that worked so well. Waivers for school related fees. Even though we have public independent school districts, it's very costly to participate in sports or in band or choir or anything like that. So if the kids who are struggling. Now, these are targeted students, and we know that they will benefit from being in choir because remember that school connectedness piece. If kids, research shows when kids are connected to different activities, each other, trusted adults, they're more likely to come to school, waive their fees. And parents really appreciate that. Raffling for monthly different things like overnight hotel stays. They can get merch. Recognize that most schools have a web page, and if they recognize have a list of all-star parents, those parents typically would take that link and put it on their Facebook, and then their friends and Facebook friends could be able to say, "Oh my gosh, really? You an all-star parent?" Yeah, so they get all excited. And then also just phone calls, text, emails, the usual. All right. So we talked about student recognition, talked about parent recognition and incentives. The next one is staff incentives. And actually, probably gave me such a great idea because when you have different parent, different like front office staff and teachers and people going out there doing home visits, and because of their efforts, it's why the kid is coming back, but they necessarily know that. So to be able to say, hey, because you did this home visit for Johnny Smith has come to school, or these kids have come to school because of your efforts, that is powerful. And I don't think staff members get that. But I also want you to know that everybody don't have the same professional love language. You guys have heard like the five love languages, right? It's more of if you've been in therapy and or if you've read the book, they'll tell you about the love language, personal love language. Since I use myself as an example, my husband, he has a different love language than mine. His love language is gifts. He's boys and their toys. He likes to open things. Whereas for me, it's acts of service. If you wash the dishes or if you do something or do the laundry, something that I would typically have to do, oh my gosh, that just speaks to my soul. Same thing when it comes to professionals, and we'll go over this. There are some team members who, again, it's acts of service. If you say, hey, I'll cover your lunch coverage, or I'll cover your class while you use the restroom, or I'll help with this particular paperwork, or if you have a certain responsibility, I got you. Don't even worry about that. They love that. I used to have a colleague that loved words of affirmation. I could give her a chocolate bar until the cows come home. And I had lots of teams, oh, just give me chocolate or my favorite snack or my Sonic drink. That did nothing for her. She loved when I wrote her handwritten notes or postcards or thanking her specifically for what she did. Gifts. Some people love the snacks, the beverages, the candies. Some principals have a coffee cart that goes around. They dig that sort of stuff. Or funding to attend their favorite conference, right? That speaks to them. Some people love the gift of time. And that is saying, you know what? Don't worry about it. The after hours calls, I got it, or you don't have duty, or just you have comp time for a half day. So just go ahead and start the day early today. They love that. And then there's touch, of course, appropriate gestures like a fist bump, handshake, side hug, things like that. They love that. So I tell you this, when you incentivize staff members for the hard work that they do, you may want to make sure that is aligned to their love language, because if not, you're not going to get much out of it. It's not going to motivate them to do anything. So, you know what I'm about to ask you. What is your professional love language? Now, I told you my personal love language, but my professional love language is the gift of time. I can eat more food. I can, you know, make a extra dollar. But once my time is gone, I can't ever get that back. So I'm very mindful as to how I spend my time. And if I can get time back, it's great. And for principals, This will be short. My district leaders, I know that there's a CFO, I think there's a deputy superintendent on here, notify their supervisors when principals say and articulate and make attendance a priority on their campus. And you realize nothing gets done on a campus unless a principal says, hey, this is what we're going to focus on. So if you see them do that, notify their supervisors. Let them know, yeah, principals have supervisors, and it'll be a big part of their evaluation. And never underestimate some friendly competition. And what I would do, what I used to do, there used to be competition, and I used to have for elementary, middle, and high school the best attendance and then the most improved attendance. Because what I didn't want the same schools with the same demographics being the best, where I had other schools who were working just as hard or even harder, and they honestly never could get that recognition. So I put that most improved there, and I recognized them at their principals meetings. All principals, they have a principals meeting once a month, and everyone's there, all their supervisors, superintendents, all the people there, and I recognized them on stage, and they took a picture. Y'all, it didn't cost a thing, but it would. That's when I really got the motor running on principals, and that's when the needle started moving, because principals are very competitive amongst themselves. And if I'm a middle school principal and I know my population is just like her population, or I know that his school community is similar to mine, and we kind of have the same issues that are impacting attendance, but he gets most improved. No, that's going to be me next time. And it was great. So, targeted outreach. This is a exercise 4.0, kind of just put it in there, but if you want to use the book, you can. It pretty much narrows down to these questions right here, where we know that, first of all, let's not just focus on the kids who are struggling. Remember, this is the plan in the beginning. This is how I want us to think of universal. I know they said targeted outreach, so just think targeted to the parents, not targeted as in tier two. I don't want to confuse you. But how are parents able to view their child's attendance? I want you to really answer those questions. And do they have to register in order to get that access? A lot of times we think that, oh, they can just do this. How do they know? And how is that information shared? How and where? Many of you have shared that, oh, that's in the student handbook. A lot of times they don't read the student handbook, even though sometimes in districts they have to sign for it. They don't. So I want you to brainstorm right now 3 possible ways that you can share your attendance policy, how parents are able to view attendance, because knowing is half the battle. How are they able to see this? And what do they need to do in order to get access? What are those 3? And you know what? If you can think of some ways, just put it in the chat. For me, I know there are several schools that have newsletters and they put it out there. Some people, they send a letter, meet the teacher, or hey, I'm your teacher. You may want to put it in there. Some people put it on social media. Want to see your child's attendance? Click on this, do this. And how often should you do this? And please don't tell me just do it in the beginning of the year and don't do it anymore. No. How do we continue to share this throughout the year? Okay, I'm getting some traction. They said parents can see attendance and how it's school, but most parents will view it on report cards. Attendance policy can be shared in a weekly newsletter. Okay. And I'm going to put the major plug out here. If for some reason you do not have something that is manageable out there, Rawi has several tools for parents to be able to be in the know as to what their child's attendance look like, and it's literally in 1 or 2 clicks. Let's move on. guys. All right. So, with that being said, I want you to also ask yourself this. Remember, we're planning for next school year. So, start thinking end of July on what do your parents need to know and by when? This is a very skeleton to the bones of communication plan. But this is what I want you to do. This again, this is an example. 4 weeks before school, what do you want your parent before the first day of school? What do you want your parents to be able to know and do in order to support attendance? I want you to start thinking about this. For me, this is even before this, I started sharing information about our back to school fair, because our back to school fair, the whole purpose of the back to school fair was to bring 60, 70 different community agencies together to help close the gap, to help families overcome any obstacles. You need immunizations, we got you. You need backpacks, we got you. You need a haircut, we got you. You need after school care, we got you. You need to know the transportation routes or whatever, we got you. You need to sign up for free lunch, we got you, right? So ask yourself 4 weeks before the first day of school, what do you want them to know? Then, hey, immunization, there are requirements, but how do they get them? How do they, or is there free? Is there low cost options? Then, hey, I don't like the term like campaign because it makes it seem like you hadn't been doing the work all the time. But for the sake of this, we're going to use the term campaign. And you know what? Slogans are catchy. I want you to start thinking about what's your slogan or your phrase. And if you already have a good one in your district, put it in here. Oh, we got a theme. Attendance matters. Yeah. Give me some others. What are some other themes that you have that go on throughout the year? I know one year I had a whole campaign because I also, under my umbrella was the PALS. And you know how you have like an iPhone, back in the day, an iPod, the theme was I attend. And so what I did, I had these little quick short videos from kids why I attend. Because kids don't listen to adults. Y'all know that, right? They listen to one another. Let's see, what were some other slogans out there? Strive for five. I like that. Boy, I tell you, my kid to be on it. On a quest for the best. Excellence is in our DNA. All right. Keep coming, keep bringing them in. If you have really good attendance slogans or campaigns, please put them in here. Oh, Ms. Ray, you've been doing this for a long time, for 7 years. That's why you got all the goodness. All right. And so keep putting the slogans in there. But then here we go. We're getting close to the first day of school. So what does the academic calendar look like? And then you let them know why you're sharing it. This is the time. Parents, refrain from scheduling vacations and medical and dental appointments, try to do that around the calendar and around the school. This may also be a good time, guys, for you to work with your school nurses to get a list of doctors and dentists who have flexible schedules. They may do one evening a week or one weekend a month. And then, of course, in August, whatever student information system you utilize, or hey, if you use Rawi, this is the time you share the information, how parents are able to use, your student information system to check grades and attendance. Remember, knowing is half the battle. Here's the other thing. I'm going to highlight this. How they can report absences. I have like these parent attendance groups, and I ask, how do you report absences at your campus? They don't know, or they say they don't know where to find that information. So how do they do that? Because remember, several of you guys, if you have that 3-day policy where they have to report their absence in order to be excused, If your parents don't know how to report the absences, guess what? You're going to have a whole lot of unexcused absences. And then we know September is Attendance Awareness Month. Again, here's another good one that I like to share. Attendance adds up. Sometimes parents need to be able to see that when a kid misses 2 months, 2 days a month, they miss 20 days a year, 30 hours of math, 60 hours of reading. If they do this from kindergarten to 12, they miss a whole year of school. So then you wonder, why a kid is behind in reading, or their math skills are not where it needs to be. But you're going to have that parent, oh, they just miss a couple days a month. This is what a couple days a month the result is. And then let's not even get into if they miss 4 days a month, 40 days a year, 60 hours of math, 120 hours of reading, and they could honestly miss 2 years of school. And I don't know about you, if I miss 2 years of anything, I'm going to be behind. Then around November, attendance October, but November attendance starts waning. Then this I used to lean on my parents and say, hey, if we want our kids to be present, guess what? I really want our parents to be more present. Talk about the volunteer opportunities. If they're more visible, then if our kids can be more visible. And then, of course, anything that you think will be important, like when it's too sick to be sick. Several of the districts, I'm seeing more of those, because remember when we were all quarantined, if a kid was, well, if he coughed to or sneezed, we were like, stay at home. Well, now how do we tell them when it's too sick for them to stay at home? Or other than that, come on to school. Let our nurse evaluate you and then go home. And then, of course, other things. What's the difference between excused, unexcused? When it comes to missed instruction, there is no difference. And then maybe even share what are, again, with them, what are the reasons for excused absences. March, again, it's spring, attendance starts waning even more. Hey, need assistance? How can we help? Maybe I see on campuses there are QR codes, and the parents can scan in the front to say, hey, I need help with this or that. And then, of course, just a variety of other things. So I want to stop for a second, and I want you guys to let us know what are some other things you think that will be good for parents to know. And you don't have to say by when, but just from what in different months and different things, what are some things that they may need to know and by when? I know someone told me the transportation routes or public transportation, if there's not school transportation that gets to a certain area, maybe we should team up with our public transportation and put that information in there. Anyone else? You said, what is the attendance hotline? Okay, cool. Let's see. And while you guys are putting that in there, we want to share that you will be getting CEU certificates for this. This is that time of year where we as educators have to share all of our professional development and things like that. So I want to put that there. All right. So keep putting that information there, and let's keep going because, oh, wow, our time is moving. Oh, excuse me. All right. So now we're moving on to 4.2, informing the board. There is 4 pages or 5 pages, 4.5 pages of information as to how to inform the board. I'm going to be a little cautious right here because every district has their own process. And I want you to keep in mind that the background of the members of your school board, they're not educators, or several are not. Some may be former educators, but you have business people, you have scientists, you have engineers, you have people with a variety of backgrounds, and they may not necessarily know the education lingo or just kind of like the background and backstory as to why certain things are important. So it's very good to be very clear. You know how they say clear is kind, to have the clarity there. So acronyms, things like that, try to avoid from doing all of that. But when you provide any type of update about what's going on with your attendance work and things like that, sneak in, and not sneak in, but be very clear as to what the call of action is. Yeah, you're doing this work, here's the update, but this is the support that you seek or that will really help you move the needle. Get with your supervisor, whoever your supervisor is, to learn the process to submit board updates. Like for us, we had to submit, or the process was to submit board updates on a weekly basis to our supervisor. Our supervisor would share that information with their supervisor, and that supervisor would get it to the board. So that's what I'm saying. Depending on how big or how small your district or your charter network is, I just don't want to get really deep into the weeds here. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You can definitely read these 4 pages in order to craft how you provide the updates. But do provide updates, because the more updates that they know on the attendance work, guess what? They're like, then they begin to be more and more vested. And hence, being again, if you are a great communicator, which we are going to dive into broadcasting the plan, and it'll be really quick, then we can get some things going. So, but just know the process so you can obtain approval. Again, if you don't have the definitive guide, we'll put the link in the chat again. This, I am on page 38, and this is 4.3, broadcasting the plan, right? I like this because it's quick and to the point. For instance, decide what key points. Again, be quick. Don't, with these updates, they really need to be short and to the point. Nothing long and drawn out. So, what are the key points? What's the major message that you want to share? Then the next key, how does the attendance work or your work align to the district's strategic plan or the vision or the mission? You got to make the connections. We make connections for the kids, make the connections for the school board. And then the why. You can say, you know what? For the last 2 years, our attendance has been decreasing. This is why we need to be more intentional about the work that we're doing so we can increase attendance, so we can get more ADA funds, so we can be able to do X, Y, and Z. What is your why? All right, determine who will provide the communication and what way. Remember, I was telling you, yeah, I would love to would have been the one, hey, I'm director of student family community services. I'll provide the information. But I knew it would be so much more powerful. And I know that the net would be casted wider if it came through communications. So, in your space, in your campus, in your district, who would be that person? And then, of course, thinking when to communicate. So, how often? Is this monthly? Is this weekly? What's your sweet spot? And then, of course, how do you get that feedback? We got to get feedback so that we can know that people are honestly getting the message. Going back to my teacher's aid, checking for understanding. And then, of course, how do we respond to the questions that are out there? Because if we're sharing information, there may be questions. And how do we make sure that people get the information that they need in order to help us change the attendance behavior? All right, let's check it out. Time. Okay, we're in good time. Now let's go on to page 39. And I did not put all these C's here. It's all about the C's of communication. So if you know what, I want to go. I like showing you guys as I talk about it. And if you, I'm clicking, so I hope you guys are able to see the definitive guide. Watch your eyes because I'm going to scroll down to 39. Here we go. All right. So here are the C's of communications methods. We're not saying you need to use all of them because it's quite a bit. But I feel like there are some really good nuggets in each. We're not going to go over all of them. For those of you who have it already, you may want to please let me know which is one that you may want to discuss or one that you use a lot. Correspond. I believe all of us use that quite a bit, and this is sending out messages, emails, flyers, newsletters, all the things on the meeting times and dates and things like that, right? But what I love about this is it talks about the inclusive stance. How do we make sure everybody get the message rather than just certain people? So translating it in all the major languages, keeping it simple and based on because different people have different literacy levels, and then just making sure that everything is all in one place so people don't feel like they have to search for things. The other C is collaborate. We know that attendance is a problem, but how do we collaborate to brainstorm problem solving techniques in order to turn the tide? Okay, the next one is I knew this would give me issues. Come to consensus. You have your attendance teams. Yes, you may be facilitating the team, but all the ideas don't come from you. So, no matter what the idea is, how do we make it your meetings a safe enough place so that no matter what the idea is, people feel safe enough to do it without judgment? And then once everybody has their ideas, then okay, let's focus on these top two or these top three. And for collaborate, I always sound like now I'm your thought partner. When you collaborate, that's what you are, just being a thought partner. It's a little different from contributing. Contributing is all about being very honest. You remember we talk about that feedback loop? Yeah, we have ideas. Yeah, we have our top two, but is it really working? How is it going for us? Should we do some strategic abandonment? How can we improve? So just making sure that not only do you give ideas, but to give the feedback and consult. When you in it, I was in the same district for almost 25 years. So I was entrenched in that particular district, that thought process and everything. It's always good to kind of get feedback from whether it's experts in the field or someone outside of the organization so they can come in with fresh eyes. Everybody can't do it. So make sure it's someone that you respect, someone something that's grounded in research and that person is on the level. And then of course, taking that information in order to be able to answer some of the questions that is coming up that you wouldn't through a different lens. All right. So the next one is correlate. And this is to explicitly link to the initiative to the work that's already being done. Okay? How do you honor the work that has already been done? It could be through a timeline, it could be through the different plans to see the difference, but how do people connect the dots? And then of course, compromise. We know what compromise means. Calibrate, bringing in external factors into account, acknowledging the changing or emerging conditions affecting the plan. Oh my gosh, I think that calibrate is a communication method that people either they're afraid to do or they feel like they don't have the time to do it. So if you know that there are things that are changing, okay, whether it's politically or not, there are external factors that have just really come about that's impacting why some kids from certain demographics are not coming to school. We need to take those things into account. We need to have the honest conversations. We need to come up with a way to adjust in order to make improvements, whether it's with a specific group or a specific neighborhood or whatever. All right, the next one is check in. Are we checking in not with ourselves, but with the families, with all of the stakeholders? Yeah, we talk about we got all these community agencies and different people who are providing help and support, but we always ask them to come to us. How about we check in and go to them? Go to the community centers, the rec centers, the religious centers, and churches and synagogues to kind of hear from the people, right? If you are not going out, outreach kind of means going out, not inviting those in, and bring in translators so that you can communicate effectively. Oh, I love this one. Confess. Everybody makes mistakes. Like everybody. We're human. And there are going to be challenges along the way. And we're going to screw up along the way. Whether it's our error in our judgment, our own mindsets, we're still trying to. So how do we kind of bounce back from that and prevent those things from happening again? I like the phrase they use, kind of course correct. First of all, did y'all realize it was this many C's in communication? Ah, commit. I think honestly, commit should have been like the first C. To be able to commit to the work, commit the funding, commit the resources, commit the energy, commit the people, commit all the things. And as you roll out the implementation plan and the communication plan, circulate. How are things being circulated? Is everything coming just through communications? Is it happening through our students, through influential leaders in the community? Yes, they are influencers. What's the phrase that people call trusted messengers? You know how in certain neighborhoods, there's this one person that lived in the neighborhood forever and everybody listens to that person? Those people you need to go to. Okay. Who are those people? If there's a certain student group or whatever, who are the trusted messengers that can help you with this work? Everything is not on social media. Sometimes it's just through that old fashioned conversations on the porch. And let's see the next one. Conclude, of course, keeping in touch with people who've been doing this work, creating a calendar. How do we keep the work going? Because, like I said, we're making plans for 1 year, but the work of increasing attendance is more than just 1 year. And then, of course, the carry through. Keep your promises. Do what you say you're going to do. Because if you don't, you're going to lose people. That's just it. You're going to lose people. All right. And our last is visual representations. If you look on, like we have, and I'm gonna click back to my slide, but they gave an annual school calendar of different events and different things that you can do to connect the work of increasing attendance. So several of you, I mean, remember the 100th day of school? Oh my gosh, there are some people who do a big attendance thing on that day. Bullying prevention. Remember I told you a lot of kids are not coming to school because they're being bullied? How do you tie attendance to that? So just continue to look at this. They give you lots of great ideas. You can talk about attendance at the spring carnival. All right, let's visual reputation. This is an example of a competition. You remember I told you competition, nothing wrong with it. It was elementary school, and we printed posters, and it was in either the very front, it was where everyone can see, everybody could pass by it. And once a week, like I said, you have something like raw weed, you can run this like no problem. You can see what was the percentages per grade level, whatever. And they noticed that pre-K and third grade had the worst attendance. And honestly, prior to this, they were much lower than this. And what was happening, the kids started competing against themselves. The teachers, they were like, look, last week, because this was weekly, last week we were the lowest. We're not going to be the lowest this week. And second grade was probably low the previous week. And then once they rallied themselves, then they increased. So I say, based on what they talk about, the visual representation, what visuals do you have to keep people motivated, to keep kids engaged, to keep teachers and staff and parents? Because I know we started with incentives, but incentives are not going to get you through the tough times. You got to tap into other stuff too, and tap into competition. Of course, I always like to share the same document. Look, get with your people. What do you have? Title funds left? Do you have Title IV funds left? What are the do you still have money from your Stronger Connections grant? What money do you have to help you with this work? This is the time of year where you realize you hadn't spent certain money. Give us a call. We want to do a demo for you. You can utilize those funds now, pay for it now. Not only do you have the resource, but you'll also have the data from this year that you can compare to next year, and it's already paid for because you're using money that now, if they're telling you next year your budget's cut, guess what? You still have money this year. Next week is going to be really good, and because it's about, like I told you, building capacity and partnerships, you're going to get more things to share with others. Okay, you want to help me with this work? Hey, these are some things that you can do. So get ready for that. As you know, we have our YouTube channel. It has so many wonderful things. A lot of times you don't have time to read. So here are some 2-minute videos that you can just listen or share with others in order to and build your own capacity. If you're looking for money and things like these are districts, and we have 50, like so many others that are doing this work and have the tools in order to do it. And I would love to provide you a demo or to just talk with you, be your thought partner as to how you can use tools and technology in order to increase attendance. So with that being said, thank you guys so very much. It's another wonderful Tuesday. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it that could help you and help your teams. And here's my email address. You can email me at any time for any information.